Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Studio Series Rise of the Beast figure. Today, we're taking a look at one of the movie's big bads, and that is Terracon Freezer. I know this guy is supposedly not able to transform in the movie, and in fact, there's going to be a bunch of him. He's more of like a Terracon trooper. Like there's going to be a bunch of him, and he's probably just going to be cannon fire for the Autobots and Maximals. But here's a figure of him right here. You can see him right there. Nice detail. Much like Airazor, there's no like plastic over it to protect the figure. It's just kind of opened, and anybody could really take him if they wanted to. You can see the Terracon symbol there. Studio Series Terracon Freezer, the Terracon insignia. You can see him right there. And he's in a museum, which I really think is cool. So there's obviously some kind of museum thing happening in the movie, because there's a kid's book that talks about Optimus fighting Scourge in a museum, and now we see Terracon hanging out in a museum looking all creepy. Kind of reminds me of like Frenzy from the first Michael Bay movie. There he is right there. Studio Series Core Class Freezer. I like the scratch on his face. He doesn't have it in the figure, it doesn't look like, but that scratch looks really cool. He's been through it. We can see right here he's actually a triple changer, if you can believe that. He has his robot mode, he has a turret mode, and then he has a Gatling gun mode. So he's a triple changer, transforms in 12 steps. So pretty cool. Here's the other side. You can see like almost a full body shot of him. Authentic Transformers. But that pretty much wraps up the box. Let's crack this one open and take a closer look at Terracon Freezer in all three of his modes. Alright, here is Terracon Freezer out of the packaging, looking like literal nightmare fuel. Those spider-like arms. It looks like General Grievous mixed with a Decepticon protoform. Now, since he is a member of the Terracons, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain that he will be the kind of army builder for the Terracons as a faction, because we do see multiple similar looking bots that resemble Frieza in the commercial. However, it's a big action shot, so everything's kind of blurry, lots of stuff going on. But he looks like he is going to be one of those guys that's just cloned a lot. And cloning isn't a new thing. We've seen it in the comics, and we've seen it in the Michael Bay films. So there could be an original Freezer out there that's like intelligent and has his own personality. The other ones will probably just be mindless, savage monsters that do the bidding of the Terracons in the film. But for this guy here, he looks really cool. I really like him. I like the many arms that he has. He looks super cool. He looks kind of like Frenzy from the first Michael Bay film. But yeah, he's really cool. Tons of articulation. I like all of the rust and the kind of battle damage he appears to have. The face, like, I wish the teeth were a lot more pronounced and sharp, but it's still pretty cool. Now, obviously, all of his arms can rotate completely. They move forward and they move back, and then they have a ball joint here, and they kind of jimmy a little bit. But that goes it, and that goes the same for the other arms. To kind of rotate on a ball joint, back and forth, a little jimmy, and yeah, it just all of the arms articulate the same. The head is on a actual interesting joint, so the neck actually can rotate up. She can look up like that. He's surprised. He can look down too. And the head can do a weird exorcist. Look at that. Head can also move up and down as well. So there it is. There's Terracon Freezer. His legs move forward and back. There is a bit of a joint here at his leg, and then obviously his feet can move. So, yeah, so his leg moves up that far. There is a joint here. and then another joint in his foot. And that goes on the same for the other foot. His foot moves up like that. Move out of the way. His foot moves up like that and back. Lots of range of movement. It almost feels kind of loose to me. And then the joint moves like that, and then there's lots of articulation in the feet. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the articulation for Terracon Freezer. He looks really cool. It looks like there's going to be, like I said again, he's going to be like an army builder for the Terracons. There's going to be lots happening for him in the movie, but unfortunately, he'll probably be a victim of just being one of those bots that's shit on by the Autobots, because, like I said before, he's just going to be cloned, and there'll be a lot of him just running around causing mayhem. The one thing I really like about it is that we could potentially see Terracon Frieza in a museum. If the box art is anything to go off of. Not to mention, this museum has been also talked about in a children's book called Optimus versus Scourge at the Museum. And so this museum has been brought up twice now. In a kid's book, it's not really a big deal. But now it's been brought to life in the box art for this figure. So there has to be a scene happening at the museum with maybe Optimus Prime fighting Scourge, and then maybe a couple of the other Terracons show up, the other Autobots show up to help their respective factions. But yeah, pretty cool. I just love him. He's so cool. Like, I love the kind of vertebrae design for his chest. The back of him here, he's got some more stuff going on here. I don't think I looked at the back. There's some pistons and some panels. Really cool stuff. You can see kind of gun barrel inside of his back. For comparison, here is Freezer in his robot mode next to Airazor, and you can see how they size up. He's just a little guy that'll probably dismember you and mess you up real good, because he looks like he's pretty vicious. Alright, first up we have the turret mode. Pretty cool. Crazy looking turret right here. The kind of arms become the legs for the turret, and then the feet just kind of weirdly sit out back here. Obviously the effects piece is not included. I added that, but there he is. You can see some nice mechanical details here, and the back just kind of transforms into a part of the barrel of the gun, and like I said, the arms transform into the legs for the turret. As for turrets, it's pretty nice. The only problem is the kind of leg just keeps coming undone, so that's kind of a problem. But other than that, as for looks, it looks like a nice Cybertronian turret. It looks like the kind of weapon you might see some Decepticons or Terracons using to push back the Autobot resistance, if it were. But pretty cool. I hate how it doesn't really tab in too well, and that the legs are just kind of hanging out here. But it does look good. It hides all of the pieces of Freezer in his robot mode, and it looks good. It just looks kind of like how you would expect a Cybertronian turret to look. It does kind of get lost with the kind of mechanical parts. It looks very Michael Bay-esque when it came to those old movies, but now we're in like the rebooted film franchise now, so I'm hoping they're not going to go too far back into the Michael Bay stuff. I mean, some of it was cool, but I don't think fans are going to want to see a bunch of Michael Bay designs in their new trilogy. But for turrets, it looks really awesome, and I really like it. As for the alternate mode, the turret, if you will, the turret looks really good. I do like it, and I wish that the legs weren't so obvious, but, they're there. But there's the turret. It looks really good. Transformation is clean, except for the legs being visible. It looks pretty good. It just looks like a regular Cybertronian turret that you might see on Cybertron during the days of the war. But there's that alternate mode out of the way. For comparison, here is Airazor next to Freezer in his turret alternate mode. And you can see he's a fair size. Alright, here is the next alternate mode, and I quite like this one. This appears to be some kind of handheld gun, so it could be probably wielded by another Transformer. Barrel is the same, however his legs and his arms fold into like the back of the gun. Then he also has this handle, so he can technically be held by another Transformer. Now, a lot of people are saying that this figure is specifically built to be an accessory to the Leader Class Scourge, which hasn't come out yet, but I can't wait to see how Scourge actually handles with this particular figure, as it looks like he is meant to be kind of accessory to Scourge. But yeah, there's the gun. I don't like how it looks like the barrel is pointed down. I wish that you could put that up more, but I feel like I'd break it. Anyway, time for some comparisons for the, I guess, Gatling gun handheld Target Master thing that we have here. So here is Freezer in his gun mode next to Airazor in her Falcon mode. You can see he's still quite a fair size for a gun. And just for fun, after another quick shot and a very tedious transformation, we have Airazor here in her robot mode, showcasing what Freezer looks like in his gun mode. And it's comically large. So obviously this is meant to go with the Leader Class Scourge, who isn't out yet. So the only thing we can do now is just showcase Maximal Airazor holding a comically large gun. But there it is. And it kind of reminds me of Target Masters. You know those old Target Master toys where you'd have like a Transformer that turns into a gun that could be held by another Transformer? Not unlike the G1 Megatron. I mean, like literal mini Transformers that could transform into a weapon or gear for another Transformer to have. That's kind of what this is giving me vibes of. So that pretty much wraps up the Target Master-esque gun that he appears to have turned himself into. But it's a cool gun. I mean, his arms and legs are super visible, and it just becomes kind of like this jumbled Michael Bay mess of parts, but it's cool. It looks like something that you might see on Cybertron, you know, some kind of Cybertronian weapon. So it works within the mythos of the show, of the movies, if you will. So that pretty much wraps up our look at Terracon Freezer. Like I said before, he's probably just going to be a Terracon Trooper that will probably be the cannon fire for the Autobots and Maximals throughout the film. He's really cool. I like his design. Looks like he's going to be like General Kenobi. With the forearms looking like General Grievous. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this look at the Studio Series Core Class Terracon Freezer. And with that, do take care, have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video.